Welcome back to the channel. My name is Brad and Supercoach Pro. Today's video we are doing the round 6 team review. Scored 2,222 in this week's score. Went up surprisingly 155 spots to my surprise. Team value is looking pretty good, 12.5 mil thereabouts, and season rank is 4,520. Not too bad. I think we're getting there. We're doing all the right things. A couple bad moves every now and then, like getting rid of Paddy Cripps and he plays from a 1 week hammy. Who would have thought? But I think we got pretty lucky this week. I think a lot of people had Paul Hayes, who's done the ACL. Hopefully he has a speedy recovery. Good to see the Saints gave him a 1 year deal. They'll probably need him too because Ryder, you'd think, retires this year at the end of it. But onto the actual side itself, how did we go? Look, we went all right. I've done some trades. I'll undo those trades and I'll explain why I've actually looking at those sort of players in the first place. But while it's loading, I'll just go into it. So Crisp 103. I always do that with him. Yeah, that's a pretty solid score from him. Considering I was going to chop him like a lot of people were in the first couple of weeks of his bad scoring. Yeah, really solid pick there. I'll get rid of my trades. You guys are probably thinking, what's he doing with Al Mac? But I'll explain that in a second. Hewitt, 114. That's fantastic from him. Just an absolute ball magnet. Probably the recruit of the year in terms of the AFL. So well done, Carlton, for picking him up. He just, makes you guys look so much better in the midfield. And 113 for Sis. That's perfect. Like, he's going to get a lot of ball back there. So you kind of expect those scores from Sis. Jaden Short, 111. Yeah, perfect. Taking kickouts. Doing Jaden Short things, 109 for Ryan. Sort of thought he would ton up, that Chapman wasn't there and a few of the other backmen weren't there. So I expect him to go back to 70 this week and just hold at this point. I think with any of your primos that are underperforming and you just sort of got to upgrade around in this time of season, no point trying to get rid of them. And Dacos, pretty solid, 71, you'll take that. McCartan concussed, so hopefully he's back in a week or two, and hopefully it's nothing too serious in terms of retirement, because that was the reason he actually retired in the first place. So hopefully he's all right. The only positive in Supercoach land is I guess he's gonna be a good loophole option, which sounds really bad, but that's just the reality of the game, really. And decoding 66, yeah, he actually looks really good. He looks better than some of his scores back there. Just needs to get a little bit more of the ball, and he'd actually get 80 scores more often than not. McRae, 92. Didn't really suit his game style this game up in Ballarat there. 92. I wasn't going to take a 92 for a captain. So I tried to see on Neil last minute. I actually said I was going to go Miller, but something in my gut just told me to go Neil, and I did, and it wasn't really much better. I was only 9 points better, so not amazing. I mean, 9 times 2 is 18, so the more points the better, but just I really didn't have any good captain options. Dunkley would have been really left field, so apart from Dunkley, no one really scored decent enough to actually be a nice captain option. So I think we have to bring in a primo, and as you probably saw before, actually bring in Oliver in my trade moves this week. And yeah, on debut, I brought in Green, Bruce, and DeGoey. Now, 2 of those 3 scored really well. Yeah, Green looked really solid. Looks sort of like a Clayton Oliver 2.0. It's actually the first time I got a proper look at this guy. He actually looked really good. So, super impressed. Probably still a good price to bring in. I was actually going to go him or Petrarca. If they were the same price, I would have picked Petrarca, but he's actually scoring better than him. So I think Petrarca may be carrying some sort of niggle. It just doesn't look the same as last year. I might be wrong there. Yeah, Butters Gastro 58. I'm sick of Butters. He's doing my head in. If it's not a 130, it's a 60 or thereabouts. You may as well, if you've got a loophole, just play him on the bench and loop his score in. Canelio, 91, solid enough to be a keeper, or at least by the end of the season a F7, M9 sort of player. I think he's one you don't flick off if you've got enough cash generation on your side. Jared Berry's been a solid pick. If you had told me this bloke 6 rounds in would be averaging 80 and he's made you 113k, I'd take it every day of the week. His scores, his worst score was round 1 at 67 and his best 96. So, yeah, solid sort of expensive rookie. And it's probably one I'll flick off in the next couple of weeks before he sort of hits his high break evens. Driscoll 42, this is the typical rookie thing, tons up twice in your side on the bench, and then when you decide to field him, has one of those stinkers. So Horn Francis would have gave me an extra 23 points, but is what it is. I think everyone gets rookie roulette wrong most weeks anyway. So, I wasn't going to field Rochelle or Ward either. They're hopeless. Grundy and Bruce, this is why I say don't trade your primos. He bounced right back, scored 129. Have to trade him this week anyway. He's on a PCL, so he's out for 10 to 12 weeks, so do not hold him. You're either upgrading him to Max Gorn or you're downgrading him to Sam Hayes, in my opinion. I wouldn't go any other way unless you want to save 100k and go Jay Witts. Proust, great, 117. Solid scoring, gave a few stupid free kicks away, but that's pretty Proust-like thing, so what do you do? Dunkley 142, didn't see that coming against Adelaide. I actually thought McRae would have went bigger, or else if I had a thought that Dunkley would have went bigger, I would have put the VC on him, obviously. 81 for Heaney, that's fine. I thought he'd go off against Hawthorn, but didn't. Same with the Goey. This was my other trade-in. Yeah, I would have been disappointed in the Goey pick for the week. I know he's got Gold Coast this week, so I hope he can do something big. And then I think he's got Tigers the week after. If he does, it's not going to be good for us because he'll probably kick a small little bag, maybe 4 or 5 against us, not sure. But he's a hard matchup when he is on. So, he scored 124 against us last year. So, memory is pretty good with that kind of thing. 103 for Brody. He's the keeper in my opinion, especially in that 4-9. And Terry, he's going to be my little swing man in case Jack Hayes or Bruce goes down. So I really like this pick. Dixon might be back this week, I'm hearing. And Martin, 95, sold again. So absolutely love that I picked him over Baldwin. Didn't have to bring that bloke in. I think I skipped over Terry Score, 68. Not much to talk about. He was up against Stanley, and this week he's up against No Pitnat, so he'll be going against DeConning, so he should actually have a good matchup. Expect him to go 90 to 100 against that game. And poor Hayes, seriously, can't catch a break. Like ACL in the first quarter of that game, and Saints are giving him another contract, so for next year, which is really nice of him. He definitely deserves it, and you'd think you'd see more game time next year because Ryder, you'd think, retires this year. And McDonald 30, is what it is. This week, I'll just go into trades as quick as possible. So, Grundy is obviously gone. I'm not going to pick Maxi Gorn. He's at his peak of his price right now. You could go Jay Witts. I don't hate that pick either, but I just don't want Jay Witts. I think R1 and R2 for me would be English and Gorn at the end of the season. Going to bring in Hayes. You guys do whatever you want. Don't have to follow me in this sort of thing because this is a weird trade. Or Francis and Rochelle can go. Going to bring in Clayton Oliver. Probably don't really need to go into reasons to why to bring in Clayton Oliver. I think it's pretty obvious. And the other guy is Elmac. Now, talk about left field picks. He's in 2% of sides. He's a pod. He's only had one really bad score. I think with Aaron Hall going down, he gets a lot of kickouts. I think him and Young take a lot of kickouts back there, actually. And he plays a lot of wing and midfield too, so I think he's just got a good role all around. You may think he's a bit of a waste pick for it because he's 400k. He's probably not a keeper, but I think a lot of people for their D6 last year picked a guy like Stephen May to average him in their 90s. He's got 3 tons there, a high 80s, 76 against Dogs. They got smashed that game, so what do you expect? This game he was up against Charlie Cameron, I'm pretty sure, and the ball just went over his head every 5 seconds into goals. So I just think at his price, his break-even's 56, I'm picking up a guy who's averaging close to 90s for 400k. And, he's actually scored pretty well in the past. It's just more of a matter of him being fit. So this year he looks it. He actually looks like a really good player. And it helps my structure going forward in the buys with his DPP. That's why I also put into Coe. I think that helps in my DPP. I don't have to flick off primos this year. I'll just be flicking out rookies instead. I'm not going to do what I did last year in some silly moves. So what we're looking at the moment, I'm hoping that a Ward or McDonald gets dropped. Potentially McDonald needs a break. So I can Oipol, a Driscoll score or just field Dacos is what I'm thinking. And the other move I want to do is actually put Butters in the forward line and Oipol his score, because if Cogs goes over 90, I'm going to take it and put Butters on the bench and use the Hayes Oipol there, because they've actually got the Giants game here. It's before the St Kilda game for that Oipol. Butters can get stuffed. And then this is the other Oipol, so this is me assuming that one of these boys is going to get dropped or rested. And then, if not, I'll field Dacos over Driscoll and get an emergency off off McCartan. And that's what I'll be looking like going into the round. Midfield's looking pretty solid there. I don't hate it. Probably want Jack Steele. I don't even know the other two right now. I can think of the top of my head. He's the only one that really comes to mind. And then, look, worst case scenario, if Hayes or Bruce gets dropped, I can put Terry for Dixon and swing him around. But I think Dixon's actually playing this week, so I might even just chuck the sneaky E on him in case. But I think if you're going to bring in Hayes as your R2, you've got to have some DPP flexibility for this one. Don't just bring him in willy-nilly and have no cover, because I think that's stupid. And we're going to vice Captain Clary against the Hawthorn, the Hawks there, and Captain, I still believe in McRae, so that's what we're looking like. Yeah, look, if you guys got any trade thoughts there, sorry that threw me off. Yeah, put them in the comments below. Let me know how you guys scored. I'll catch you on the next one. Hopefully you guys had a good weekend. And I'll release a video on Friday for the Friday preview to see if I've actually made any changes or if I've done something a little bit different. I'll let you guys know.